Imagine standing in the wings of a dimly lit theater. You could hear the murmur of the audience on the other side of this heavy velvet curtain.
Right.
And you have rehearsed for months. You know every single line of the play backward and forward. You understand the character. You've memorized the blocking.
You're completely prepared by all intellectual measures.
Exactly. Completely prepared. But then the stage manager taps your shoulder, the curtain goes up, and this blinding spotlight hits your face.
And your mind just goes blank.
Yes. In that exact fraction of a second, the script just completely vanishes. It is just gone. You open your mouth, and there is like nothing but white noise.
It's terrifying.
It really is. Usually when we talk about learning a skill, we assume that knowledge directly translates into action. Like you study the map, you know how to navigate the city.
Well, yeah, it's the expectation of a direct one-to-one transfer. Information in, performance out.
Right, but step into the world of language learning specifically, speaking a language you've been studying for years, and suddenly that direct transfer is just entirely broken.
Oh, it's completely shattered.
We're looking at a psychological landscape that is incredibly frustrating. It's a bottleneck that traps millions of perfectly capable people every single day. So today, we're taking a deep dive into an incredibly insightful script titled English&Inspire to figure out exactly how to bypass that bottleneck.
And, our mission here isn't to give you a grammar lesson.
Oh, definitely not. We are not diagramming sentences today.
Far from it. We are undertaking this psychological exploration to uncover why so many people struggle with the intense fear of speaking a language that, frankly, they already know.
Right.
And more importantly, we're going to deconstruct how to actually break through that invisible mental barrier.
But before we really get into the weeds here, the source material actually asks us to do something very specific, and I think we should just do it right now.
I love this part.
It invites you, listening to this, to just take a deep breath. Just inhale and let go of any fear of mistakes. Forget about what other people might think of your accent or your vocabulary. This is your time, and this is your journey.
It really establishes the perfect baseline. I mean, it immediately identifies that the barrier we are dealing with isn't academic at all. It's entirely emotional.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We are looking at a deeply frustrating, yet universally common scenario. Let's say you are learning English, or really any second language. You might actually know thousands of words.
Your vocabulary is huge.
Yeah. You understand spoken English perfectly well. You sit on your couch, you pull up a movie, and you watch the whole thing without subtitles.
Right. Your passive understanding is exceptionally high. The data is all there, filed away in the correct cabinets in your brain.
Exactly. But then you're at a coffee shop or you're on a Zoom call and someone asks you a direct question in English. And suddenly this completely physical reaction takes over.
Oh, yeah, the sweaty palms.
Right. Your heart starts to beat faster. Your palms get sweaty. And the absolute worst part, your mind goes totally inexplicably blank.
Just empty.
In that moment of panic, you convince yourself, I can't speak English.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels almost like self-sabotage.
Yeah.
If it's not a lack of vocabulary, the only thing left is a psychological block.
Yeah.
It's like the brain is actively hijacking itself.
What's really fascinating here is the mechanics behind that hijack. Because people naturally assume, I'm panicking because my English isn't good enough.
Right. They blame their vocabulary or their grasp of past participles or whatever.
Exactly. But the true culprit has absolutely nothing to do with bad English. The root cause is actually the fear of judgment.
Oh, wow.
Before you even open your mouth to formulate a response, your brain is just paralyzing you with a rapid-fire sequence of hypothetical threats.
Oh, the dreaded internal monologue of what ifs.
Yes.
Like, what if I make a mistake? Or what if my pronunciation sounds ridiculous?
What if I forget a specific word and just stand there looking completely incompetent?
Exactly. It's like your brain is running a real-time simulation of every possible social disaster, all while the other person is just innocently waiting for you to say hello.
And consider the cognitive load of that. Managing all those terrifying hypothetical scenarios consumes an immense amount of mental energy. And, well, there's a real biological mechanism at play here, too.
Okay, what do you mean?
When your brain detects what it perceives as a social danger, like the threat of looking foolish in front of a colleague, it triggers the amygdala, which is basically the brain's alarm system.
Wait, so it's literally treating a casual conversation like a survival situation.
Precisely. Your body floods with cortisol, the stress hormone, and that chemical flood initiates the fight or flight response, and in doing so, it physically blocks access to the prefrontal cortex.
And the prefrontal cortex is?
It's the logical, rational part of your brain where your language, vocabulary, and grammar rules are actually stored.
That is wild. So you aren't actually forgetting the words. Your brain is temporarily locking the filing cabinet because it thinks you need to run away from a tiger, not conjugate a verb.
Spot on.
So it's an access issue, not a storage issue.
That's the perfect way to phrase it. The filing cabinet is totally full, but the door is barricaded by fear. The processing power required to retrieve a word is being entirely consumed by threat detection.
But wait, why is this paralysis uniquely an adult problem? I mean, a 3-year-old doesn't care if they mispronounce spaghetti.
No, they definitely don't have a fight or flight response when asking for juice.
Right. We clearly aren't born with this crippling fear of making a linguistic mistake.
We aren't. We actually have to unlearn our natural, uninhibited ability to acquire skills. And it all stems from the unrealistic expectation we develop as we age.
What expectation?
The expectation that we must be perfect from the very beginning of any endeavor.
Oh, right. We've all heard the baby learning to walk analogy. It's a cliche in self-improvement circles for a reason.
It is, yeah.
The baby takes a wobbly step, they faceplant into the carpet, they get back up.
But what the source points out that we usually miss is the environment surrounding that baby.
Right, the social context is completely different.
Exactly. When the baby falls, does anyone stand around critiquing their technique? Does anyone laugh at their lack of balance?
No, of course not. They have a dedicated cheering section. The parents are clapping, taking videos, celebrating the attempt.
Everyone encourages the baby because the falling is just an understood, expected part of the physics of learning to walk. No one expects a toddler to stand up from a crawl and perfectly execute a flawless sprint across the room on their first try.
And we see the exact same pattern with native language acquisition, right? When you were 2 years old, learning your mother tongue, you didn't speak in perfectly constructed, eloquent paragraphs.
No, you babbled, you pointed, you learned one single word, then maybe months later you strung 2 words together. It was a process of constant trial and error, day by day.
Okay, so what does this all mean for us now? Because it is a beautiful, comforting thought that mistakes are just proof of learning. It sounds wonderful in theory, but let's be real for a second. Let's play devil's advocate.
Go for it.
As an adult, sitting in a high-stakes quarterly business meeting or, trying to navigate a tense foreign customs checkpoint, the social stakes are objectively higher than a toddler falling on a living room carpet.
They certainly feel higher. Yes.
Right. We don't have a cheering section applauding our attempts. We have colleagues, bosses, and strangers who need accurate information quickly. So how does a person actually bridge that massive gap between this ideal childlike learning state and the harsh reality of adult professional life?
Well, this raises a really important question, and it's the crux of the adult dilemma. The stakes do feel higher because your ego is involved.
Yeah, totally.
Your professional identity and social status feel tied to your competence. But the source addresses this exact friction by synthesizing a core philosophy that completely shifts the goalposts.
Okay, what does it say?
It states, and this is central to the whole idea, perfect English is not the goal. Confident English is.
Perfect English is not the goal. Confident English is. Wow. That implies a total redefinition of what a successful interaction looks like.
It absolutely does. It demands that we fundamentally change our objective. Like when you are in that business meeting, what is your actual goal?
Right.
Is it to deliver a grammatically flawless Shakespearean monologue? Or is your goal simply to transfer an idea from your brain to your colleague's brain?
Just to transfer the idea.
Exactly. The text emphasizes that we must prioritize communication over perfection. The primary evolutionary purpose of language is simply to be understood.
I see what you're saying. It's the difference between treating language as an art performance versus treating it as a utilitarian tool.
Yes.
Like if I hand you a hammer to frame a house, you don't worry about whether you are swinging the hammer with perfect Olympic-level grace.
No, you just care if the nail goes into the wood.
Right. If the nail goes in, the tool worked.
And if the other person understands your quarterly projection, your English worked. The missing vocabulary word or the slightly skewed pronunciation or, using the wrong tense that didn't break the tool, it just made the swing of the hammer a little less graceful.
But the house still gets built.
Exactly. The house still gets built.
And to build on that, think about the cognitive load of the person listening to you in that business meeting.
Yeah.
Your boss isn't sitting there analyzing your syntax.
No, not at all.
Their brain is entirely focused on the business problem you are discussing. They care about the numbers, the strategy, the bottom line.
Right. If you get the core idea across, they aren't going to dock points because you used in instead of on. They probably didn't even notice.
That is such a crucial realization. We project our own hyperfixation with grammar onto our listeners, assuming they are judging us as harshly as we judge ourselves.
But they usually aren't. They just want the information.
Okay, so if we accept this premise, if we shift our goal from unattainable perfection to confident communication, we still hit a practical wall.
Yeah.
Well, saying just be confident is incredibly easy. Actually doing it when your heart is pounding out of your chest and the cortisol is flooding your system is a completely different story. How do we manufacture that confidence?
Yeah. Well, we don't manufacture it out of thin air. We build it through a very specific sequence of actions. To illustrate this, the source introduces a practical framework we can call the tale of two students.
I love this part.
It perfectly encapsulates the mindset shift required to generate genuine confidence.
Let's look at student one. They have established a very rigid rule for themselves. They say, I will speak English only when my English is perfect.
Right.
I will study grammar books every night. I will read advanced literature. I will listen to hours of podcasts. But I absolutely will not open my mouth in public until I am guaranteed not to make a mistake.
They are treating language like a test they have to score 100% on before they are allowed to take it.
Exactly.
They are waiting for a state of internal readiness that will logically never arrive. Because readiness in a vacuum is an illusion.
Now, contrast that with student two. Student two operates on a completely different frequency. They say, I am going to speak English every single day.
Even knowing they'll mess up.
Yeah. They say, I know I will make mistakes. I know I will sound foolish sometimes. I know I will use the wrong verb tense. But I am going to speak anyway. So the question is, who becomes fluent faster?
The answer is unequivocally the second student. And the reason touches on the very biology of learning we discussed earlier. Confidence does not come from waiting. Confidence is not a prerequisite for action.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me. The one waiting for perfection has the entire equation backward. It's like refusing to go to the gym until you're already in shape.
That is a brilliant analogy.
Right. You can't say, I'll start lifting weights once I have huge muscles.
Yep.
The action of lifting the weights is what creates the muscles.
Yes. The source is explicitly telling us that you do not wait for confidence to magically appear before you decide to speak.
Action has to come first.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the text uses another great metaphor that grounds this perfectly. Learning to ride a bicycle.
Oh, yeah. Imagine trying to become an expert at riding a bike by sitting in a library and reading a physics textbook about balance, momentum, and gyroscopic forces.
You could memorize all the mechanics. You could know exactly how the pedals turn the gears and the exact angle the handlebars need to be at to counter a lean.
But the second you take that purely intellectual knowledge out of the library and actually sit on the bicycle seat, none of that reading helps you stay upright.
Not a bit. The intellectual knowledge just doesn't translate to physical equilibrium.
Because you have to get on the bike and actually feel the instability. You have to wobble. You're going to scrape your knee on the pavement. You're going to fall down.
It's inevitable.
But experiencing that instability is the only way your body learns the micro adjustments required to keep the pedals moving. Language acquisition works the exact same way.
And this brings us to a concept called neuroplasticity. Every time student 2 speaks even poorly and survives the interaction, they are physically rewiring their brain.
Right. Remember that amygdala hijack we talked about? The brain associating speaking with danger.
The tiger in the boardroom.
Exactly.
When you speak, make a mistake, and the person simply hands you your coffee instead of laughing at you, your brain registers a successful survival event.
Oh, wow.
Over time, through neuroplasticity, your brain overwrites the old speaking equals danger neural pathway with a new speaking equals survival pathway. The threat response diminishes. The cortisol stops flooding.
So every mistake you survive is quite literally a brick in the foundation of your confidence.
That's beautifully said, yes.
If you behave like student 1 and you never speak, you never make mistakes. But if you never make mistakes, your brain never gets the real-world feedback that mistakes aren't fatal.
Therefore, you never overwrite that fear pathway. You just stay perpetually trapped in the waiting room, letting the fear dictate your boundaries.
The action must precede the feeling. You have to speak first. The confidence will naturally follow as